Hey guys, I'm back out in the field again, doing a little deer hunting. Haven't had as much time this year to go hunting, but I was able to get up on some of my preferred terrain for hunting. We're getting snow lately. It's about 15 degrees out, and I parked the truck back about 3/4 of a mile, kind of doing that over the horizon kind of approach that I like to do. And just as I was coming through this saddle, I saw this guy coming out. He's about 700 yards away. White-tailed buck. Of course, I took my spotting scope out because I wanted to travel lighter today because I'm wanting to get actually further back in those hills over there. So I can't quite make out how big he is. I don't think he's real big. And judging by how he's coming out in the middle of the daylight, he's probably kind of young and dumb anyways. But, so yeah, my plan is just to hike in. This is actually not too far away from where I got my deer last year. I got my deer last year just kind of out that way, about another mile. So I wanted to push in further past where I got that deer. So I've had a really busy fall this year. I got promoted at work about a month ago, so kind of getting used to the new role there. Plus, we don't have a replacement yet for me, so I'm doing my old job plus my new job. Plus, we're extremely busy with some projects, some pretty big important projects that we're working on. So I'm just trying to manage all that. So that would explain the lack of videos and content lately. Just been really busy at the day job. So this deer is kind of working his way from south to north across that field, and there's a little knoll right there, a little snow-covered knoll. It's about 130 yards from me. I might try to sneak up there if I can get a better visual what he looks like. See if I can get a shot. Okay, so I've been watching this guy for a little bit, and he's kind of turned to face me somewhat. He has no idea I'm here yet, but I can kind of tell by looking at him he's not a very old deer, probably just a year or two, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass on this one. And what I think I'm gonna try and do is actually backtrack back through this saddle, so that hopefully I don't spook him. And then I'm gonna circle around to the north, around that knoll, and get back headed the direction I wanted to go. Okay guys, I got back through that saddle. I don't think that deer really paid any attention to me, so you can tell it's snowy. So I'm going to go ahead and put my crampons and gaiters on because it's getting kind of slick on these hillsides. Real quick, just go over what gear I'm using again. It's my Decker pack frame from Hill People Gear with the Decker bag. And then I've got the line pocket here that I just clip on with some kind of extra accessories. And I use that to kind of haul my trekking poles and my camera tripod with that pack bucket that's clipped on there. Then I've just got my Ruger Ranch Gen 2 308 with the primary arms 1-6 ACSS. It's a great little lightweight setup, a very handy little rifle to carry around. I really like it. And for the kind of terrain I'm in and the distances that I'm likely to be able to engage a deer at, I think a 1-6 and a short-barreled 308 are going to be just fine. And for ammo, I'm using the AAC 150 grain Saber black tip. So haven't got a deer with that ammo yet, so I'm kind of excited to see what that'll do. Okay, so we got my gaiters, crampons on. They're like Wolverine's claws for your feet. Gaiters are great. I like ones that come down as low as they can on my boots. Just keeps my feet drier and a little warmer. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my pack back on, and like I said, I'm gonna circle to the north around this ridge and then hook back to the left, which would be west. Start working my way back that way. Okay guys, so I've worked my way around the north side of that little knoll, and now I've got this in front of me, way down in the bottom there, way down there. That's where I got my deer last year. Up here, that's the field that we were watching that little buck feed on. And right when I was coming around the corner, I could see his tail end. He was just working his way to the west, still just happily feeding his face, not paying any attention to the world like most people. And so he's just working his way to the west. So I'm going to stay on the north side of this ridge, and I'm going to do the same. And my goal is to get further back up in there to see what's moving later on in the day. Turkeys are going to give me away. These turkeys are about 20 yards away. I had no idea I was here until just now. I think I'm going to try and back off. I don't want them to go full blasting out. Just trying to get over to there. Okay guys, so we're looking back the direction I came. I came around that hill, dropped down, found those tracks from that little buck, and that's when I bumped into those turkeys. And now I'm coming back the other way. This was the route I took last year when I got my deer. So basically I'll just follow the same route. I'm gonna drop down into this valley and go up the other side and get on that kind of point out there. There's quite a few draws back on the other side and then to the north. They're all very promising. Now with the snow and everything on the ground, it's pretty slick out here, but with my crampons, I'm moving probably easier than I do when it's dry. Honestly, these things are amazing. And so I'm not too worried about having to scramble up that hill. There's actually, I found it last year, there's kind of a trail that zigzags up the side right there. So I'll just drop down in the bottom and take that same trail. But so far I haven't really seen anything other than those two turkeys and that little white tail, but there's a ton of sign out here. And I know last year when I was over on that hillside, I saw buck tracks and also elk tracks. So I'm sure the further back in we get, the more promising it's going to get. Alright, so I've been working my way down this hillside. I'm pretty much down in the bottom of that draw. I want to get over there on that hilltop, but I thought I'd drop down and get a little more concealment. But you guys can see this little kind of slope right here. It's about, I don't know, 15 yards from top to bottom. You know, it's pretty close to a 45-degree slope. It's covered in snow, grass, so it's pretty slick. But with my crampons on, I just walked right down it like it was nothing. So, pretty amazing. I wouldn't even be out here doing this if I didn't have good traction. hill and I stopped at the glass. And there's that buck again. I must have snuck right past him. Now he's following my back trail. I'm pretty sure that's that same little whitetail that I saw feeding out on that field. That field was just coming off over there. So how funny is that? He's literally walking pretty much right in my tracks from earlier. He's pretty oblivious, I guess. Or I'm that sneaky, one or the other. Probably him being oblivious, I'd say. But he's about 315 yards away. I'm going to pass on him again, of course, and keep working my way back. See what else I can see. Alright, so I've made it up over the ridge. I'm on the west side of that ridge, and I got all this in front of me. And I can go about another 300 yards north, and then I'm kind of at the edge of my boundary. For reference, last year's video, when I shot my deer, he was at the, when I first saw him, he was over on that point right there in the center. And then I hustled across, climbed up that little draw right there, and I shot it down onto the other side from right up there. So I'm just gonna kind of keep picking my way back in the cover. It's about an hour until sunset, so I'm kind of back in where I wanted to be, roughly. And we'll see what happens in the next hour and a half. Okay, guys, so I was just moving my way along this ridge. When I got about right here, looked over, about 200 yards that way, there was a few mule deer does. So I dropped down, took my pack off, and I was behind this little juniper here, glassing them. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move back away from them. I'm going to work my way around this point to see if I can get a better angle. I'm not out here hunting for does, but I couldn't glass real well to see if there's anything else around them. So that's what I'm trying to do, is just see what else is over there. Okay, I moved my way about 50 yards more. I kind of popped up, and those does were kind of over there. I don't see them anymore, but now there's two more whitetail coming out of the trees. They're about 300 yards away. So I keep an eye over there too and see what's moving. Okay, guys, so those mule deer does came back out. Looks like I didn't spook them after all. They just kind of picked their way up that ridge, headed west. So I'm just going to keep an eye on them for a little while. See if anything comes out to say hi. Alright, through the gaps in the trees there, you can probably see a few deer. The whitetail came over and decided to have supper with those mule deer. I'm just waiting to see if anything else shows up for now. I can't really push any further to the west with them there, because I don't want to blow them out. Alright, guys, so I sat and watched all those does, and they all cut back along that ridge from right to left, heading southeast. I didn't see any bucks back here, so I think it's getting late enough now. It's going to be dark, probably 30 minutes. So I'm just going to keep an eye out for the west. See if anything comes out to say hi. Okay, guys, so I sat and watched all those does, and they all cut back along that ridge from right to left, heading southeast. I didn't see any bucks back here, so I think it's getting late enough now. It's going to be dark, probably 30 minutes. So I'm gonna grab my pack and I'm gonna start picking my way back to the southeast too. Just to see if I happen to catch anything coming up and moving. Now it's getting darker. Okay guys, I got back to my pack and it's getting pretty chilly. So all I've got on is my Kuiu merino wool, that light shirt that I always wear underneath my wind cheater. So I went ahead and threw on another layer. And then my gloves were pretty wet from, I slipped in the snow when I first saw those does when I was getting down. So my gloves got kind of wet, so my hands were getting cold, so I swapped those out for some thermal gloves. But it's getting pretty dark now. So I'm gonna start heading back to the truck. Okay guys, so I'm hiking back. It's getting dark. I think it's past pretty much at the end of legal shooting light. And I mean, honestly, I could have a deer jump out 50 yards in front of me and I couldn't tell you, mostly if it was unless it was perfectly skylined. I wouldn't be able to tell if it's a buck or a doe, or if it was a buck, if it was one big enough to warrant shooting or not. So I'm gonna go ahead, unload my rifle, I'm gonna stow it on my pack, and I'm gonna pull out my trekking poles because there's two different ways I can go back. I can take the direct route back across that big canyon that I came through, or I can stick to the high ground and loop my way all the way around. And while it might be a little more dangerous to cut through, for one, you know, it's rougher terrain, more probability for a slip, and also if something happens while I'm down there, I have no cell service in the bottom there. Now I did make sure to communicate to other people where I'd be, so it's not like I'm out here completely, you know, like nobody knows where I am. But I think between my crampons and my trekking poles, I think I'll be all right. I got my headlamp out and it's ready, so I'll go ahead and switch over to basically nighttime cross-country mode, I guess, and we'll get across this valley, get headed back to the truck. So, you know, that's what I love about this pack system, is just how versatile it is. You know, I've got the rifle in the pack bucket there, and it's just going to be held on by that, the line pocket, and that should work just fine. I'll go ahead and fold this. This is just kind of a signal panel that I use so that I'm a little more visible out here hunting, but it's easy to remove so that I'm not sticking out like a sore thumb if I don't want to be seen. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and get moving. Okay guys, so I'm just following my back trail back, and I'm so glad I brought these trekking poles and crampons with me. I mean, I'm going down stuff that's just nasty, but I'm doing it, I feel, quite safely and easily. It's also easier on my knees going downhill having the trekking poles, but I mean, this is probably a good 30-degree, 40-degree slope. I'm just headed back down it, so I'm just heading across that valley there. Well guys, made it back to the truck. You know, we didn't get our deer this year, but I did get out a few times at least. Got to do some hiking. I did get out and kind of get to scout some new ground that I hadn't been to before. You know, so any chance you can get out in the field is a good time. You know, just because I didn't get a deer this year, not too worried about it. It's not that I didn't have shot opportunities on smaller deer. I just, you know, being picky as usual. So anyways, thank you guys for watching. Have a good day.